You're locked in with the Innovators. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell. What's going on? You locked in with the Innovators YouTube, man. You already know I got a Bay legend right here, man. Pittsburgh in the building. I got AWAX. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good, man. Just drinking my coffee, man, up early in the morning, man. It's my early day for me today, man. I'll be waking up a little late. I'll be working late nights.
Hell yeah. I appreciate you, first of all, taking the time out to do this interview with me, for real.
It's good, brother. I appreciate you giving me a platform and checking my music out and let me get to the fans like that, because I don't do a lot of interviews, to be honest and shit, man. I've been kind of keeping to myself and shit.
Yeah, nah, I understand. I appreciate it. I already peeped. I'm like, he only do interviews like that, so I gotta do a good one, man. So the pressure's on me for sure.
For sure, brother.
To start off, can you let the people know where they can find you on social media?
Waxface with an S, WAXFASE on Instagram, on Twitter and Facebook is AWAXRU. So that's pretty much all the sites I be on. I just started TikTok, but I ain't got my dance moves up and shit yet. I'm working on them. I'm working on them, blood.
I gotta ask you, because it's a super hot topic right now, but how do you feel about everything that's going on with the George Floyd situation and the protests?
I mean, I feel like it's due. It was long overdue, really, honestly. And I think that, I mean, I'm kind of skeptical that too much change will come from it. You know, the Republicans is trying to shut down everything, but I feel like there's a lot of good change coming from it. Police is being held accountable now from it, and it's a terrible thing the way he lost his life, but yeah, now it's finally shedding light on it, and the police can't just keep getting away with that shit. They've been getting away with being crooked for as long as before I was even here, as long as I could remember him, way before I was here. Yeah. So the way they oppress people of color and black people specifically, that shit is bullshit, and it's about time they're getting held accountable. And I also think like them coroners to be writing fucked up autopsies and shit, saying people died from different shit, they should be held accountable the same as the police. This line when they be making up shit to try and get the police off and all that shit. Like, they should hold everybody accountable in a circle when they do that shit. The same as regular civilians is held accountable when they do something against the law.
Nah, for sure. Nah, that's for sure. That's a crime too, though, for sure. Like on top, like I feel like it's been crazy though, just because like we just keep seeing it happen. But the George Floyd situation, it became like an international protest. You know, like
yeah,
protests in Europe and everywhere. Like, it's crazy. Like, that was just kind of on my mind.
Before the internet era, police was planting guns on people and humbug, planting dope, giving people doing all kind of foul shit. They've been able to pretty much run their racist little agendas through that badge and hide it behind the badge and all their police unions and shit for years. So yeah, it's about fucking time, in my opinion, that they finally start being held accountable, and they don't need all these tanks and shit that they buying on the streets and shit. Like, hey, fucking, you know what I mean? Like, they taking all these taxpayers' funds and they buying all this bullshit, helicopters and tanks and shit, like we in a war zone or some shit in our own country, and that shit, it's just bullshit. And they just using it for all the wrong reasons. So I agree with defunding the police and all that shit.
Yeah, not for sure. How do you feel about the coronavirus? How do you feel?
I was the same way, man. I feel like I'm just not big on coincidence. So the fact that it's hitting minorities and black people more than anything in certain communities and shit, like, I feel like it's an agenda behind that shit. It's something else going on behind the scenes that we don't really know about. I'm skeptical of everything I read in the news and hear in the papers or whatever. So I don't know. I feel like I don't know everything about it, but I don't feel good about it. I feel like it's the same way as AIDS targeted gays and whatever kind of community and was affecting certain demographic of people more than any others. I feel like this is just like that part too, kind of like it feel like another one of them things.
Nah, for sure. How do you think it will affect the music industry moving forward? Do you feel like they won't try to have people doing shows and shit for a while? You think, like, has it slowed you down in that aspect where you haven't been able to get work done?
Yeah, I ain't been able to get out. Well, it's not just that. I'm on house arrest and shit too. So for me, it's kind of like I'm some regular shit. Like I'm on house arrest, so it's like it couldn't have been a better timing. As fucked up as that sound for me, like the whole world on house arrest and I'm on house arrest, so it ain't really affecting me like it would. But I definitely do get a lot of show money I got to turn down and pull-ups in different areas and regions of fans I can't tap in with like I normally would. So that's fucked up. But I think it's gonna bounce back. I think it's not gonna bounce back overnight. I think it's gonna take some time for it to get there. Probably it's just gonna take somebody to come up with the right vaccine or get more knowledge about it. Right now, more knowledgeable about the actual COVID shit.
Nah, for sure. What was your first tattoo?
My first tattoo, it was what was my first tattoo, brody? I think it was I used to have it ain't got it no more, but on my forearm where this 925 is right here, I used to have a 510.
Oh,
And
okay.
the area code in Pittsburgh and California used to be 510, and then probably like a year after I got that thing, it changed the area code to 925, man. So I had to cover the 510 and put the 925 because everyone was thinking I was from Oakland or somewhere else. When I got to the pen, I was like, no, I'm not from Oakland, bro. I'm from Pittsburgh.
What was it like growing up in Pittsburgh for you?
It was cool, man. Pittsburgh's a real I really wasn't even really aware of like racist and shit when I was growing up in Pittsburgh. Like where I was from Pittsburgh, I was from a trailer park in the West, and everybody was just poor. So when I went to school, I just kicked it with everybody, and I ain't deal with too much of that shit outside of police interaction and being targeted and treated unfairly by the police. They the only ones that ever looked at people different in my eyes when I was growing up. But Pittsburgh was cool, man. It was just it's a small town, so everybody know everybody. And I just had a regular upbringing. Like we was poor as shit, so just doing what regular poor motherfuckers do, trying to get a buck every day, find some little money, smoke some weed.
Did you go to Pittsburgh High?
Nah, I went to Hillview Junior High and I went to Highlands Elementary.
Okay.
And then I dropped out in the 8th grade and shit and started selling dope and ended up in the pen and shit. So I didn't ever make it to high school.
I was one of my favorite tracks by you was "I'll Be Fine," man. I was like, man, I was hella juiced when I was getting this done. I'm like, this is gonna be crazy. Like, I think I feel like not that niggas sleep on you, but in a sense, like I don't feel like niggas always give you the credit that you deserve. You feel me? How do you feel about that?
I feel the same. Like I'm just happy that like I used to have a little chip on my shoulder for a long time and feel like I was just not being recognized for my talent and my skills or whatnot. But I understand how the politics work. And when I first came into rap, I used to think, yo, you make some good music and you're going to get recognized for your talent. And you just stick with it and then people going to see it and it's just going to get there. Like my career took a lot longer than I anticipated when I first came in. And I was always waiting for a break or some shit. And I ain't never get no break in it. I just had to build it on my own to get to where I got to. Like so I used to be feeling a certain kind of way. Like, man, when they gonna recognize me? But in recent years, I've been getting a lot of recognition, and I ain't got no kind of Drake fan base, but my fan base is real solid, and I got a core fan base of fans that really move when I put something out, and they really pay attention to my music. So it's like a double-edged sword. Half of me feel like I should be more recognized, and the other half feel like, man, I did this all alone. It wasn't no real cosigns and nothing like that. All my affiliations was all through something besides music. Like when I was dealing with Akon or Waka was on some hood shit. Like Akon was just on some street shit. I dealt with a lot of artists, but I ain't never just been dealt with them on only music. I had other ways and different avenues we was linked in on. So I feel good now, though. I ain't got that chip on my shoulder no more. I'm getting my bag up and I'm making real good money no matter how you slice it.
Nah, for sure. Can you talk about how you became a part of Piru? Because most people would say that the Bay Area don't gangbang like that.
Yeah, for sure. when I was probably 14, I caught a dope case in Pittsburgh, and the police, I shook them. They was my boy he bagged his work up different than me. We used to hand to hand on the corners and shit. My boy Claire, he bagged his work up different than me and put little knots in the top of the bags. my shit was just loose. I just did some little manny shit with my bags and had them shits in my pocket. My boy was going out of town. He was like, bro, hold these for me, tuck it up for me. I'm about to go out of town for a day and shit. I'll come back get it. So long story short, I seen the police at the corner and I had his work and my work in his jacket pocket, them 2 jacket pockets. And when I was running, I had more of his shit on me than my shit. So I threw it over the fence and shook, and the police couldn't catch me. And in my little trailer park, it's like it was little pathways, and I knew the whole little route, so the police could never catch my young ass.
Yeah.
But they knew who I was by face.
Yeah.
So when I threw it, motherfuckers, I guess they found the dope, and then they went back to my house and asked my dad if he could search the house while I wasn't there. My dad had some shit of his own in the house and was like, go ahead, you could just check his bedroom, but you can't check the house. So the police went in my bedroom and planted the dope I had threw.
Wow.
Yeah, Pittsburgh PD too. So I had when I had a warrant for it and shit, and then I got bumped up. I went to court for it, and they was like, look, you get an option. You either go to CYA, or if you got family out of state, you got to go out of state and stay with your family out of state, and then out of state of California. They would give you that option in California when I was a kid. Yeah. So I chose to go out of state. I didn't want to go sit down for shit. So I was like, I got family up in Washington State. Send me up towards Seattle. I'm going to take my first flight to SeaTac. Let's get it. My grandmother stayed out there and my uncle. So I slid up there, and then long story short, when I got up there, I was just making friends. I made some friends with some crib. There was gangbanging up there. So it was all kind of LA people and banging was heavy in the early 90s and the mid 90s. Yeah. So when I got up there, I made friends with some Crips, and then I didn't like how they was getting down, and then I made friends with some Pirus, and I first started running with some West Side Pirus, and then got pulled over. It was just a slow trickle. It wasn't just one thing that happened. Like first I got pulled over in a car with like 4 other Pirus, and they yanked us out, and then they put me on the gang list for just being with them. Yeah. So I knew I was already on the police list for it, and then from there it was like the Crips all see me hanging with them, and then they labeled me as one. Then it just snowballed. Like my sister got raped by a Crip when I was young, so it's just one thing after another led me to not feeling them, and then I ended up getting put on with the homies and linking up with the Elm Streets. They was flying up from Compton and flying up to sell their dope. And everybody was undercutting the dope sales in Compton, so they was getting more money in Seattle, and they was all flying up on planes with it. So I just linked up with them trying to get money in the streets, and I've been running with them since my early teens, really. So it wasn't never a Bay Area gangbanging thing with me. People really didn't dive into my music, I guess, enough to hear that I was always calling myself AWAX Rue and talking about Piru and whatnot. Like people in the Bay Area didn't really understand what that shit was until Lil Wayne and The Game and certain artists started saying that shit in mainstream. And then everybody just tried to smut me and be like, yo, he just started doing that shit, or he must have got put on in the pen or something. Like, nah, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, nah. You talked about catching a dope case when you were young. How did you find yourself in the streets so young, though?
Just, my parents got divorced young, man. My mom and my dad, they had a toxic relationship, and my dad was physical with my mom, and that led to police getting called a lot by my mom, and my dad would go to jail for DVs and shit like that. So my mom ended up getting a divorce from him. And when that happened, my dad he was taking care of my mom to that point. So when my mom and dad got divorced, it just left us at the mercy of different projects and different trailer parks and different apartments. And we was just going spot to spot. Mom's had 3 kids and was trying to just pay the bills any way she could. So me naturally being the oldest in the house, I was just trying to help moms put bread on the table. And it just, only way to get bread for me back then was just selling dope or trying to steal some shit or rob some shit back then. So I just had no other way and was just trying to help mom support the family. And being young, you don't see no other ways. And I couldn't go get a job. I was too young for all that shit. So I just had to grow up young, and that's really how I got into the streets.
Yeah. You also talked about how you grew to not like Crips. Do you feel you still feel the same way, or like you cool with Crips now?
No, when I went to prison, I got to see the whole everything. And I went to prison, I got charged in dope when I was 16, and that's when I seen everything for what it was. Like some of my homies that I looked up to from Elm Street, the different Pirus, like they would be scared of Crips, and they would be scared of getting jumped or scared of this or that. And then I lost respect for them. And then other times situations I'd get into with people, and I would have Crips come to my defense and be like, yo, this little motherfucker real as fuck. Like, we ain't letting him go out. Like, we behind him, even if his own homies ain't. And that was a real awakening for me, and just the scheme of life. Like, man, you got real people and fake people on both sides. You got snitches and motherfuckers who hold the code up on both sides. And if you just be narrow-minded, you're gonna be fucked up in these streets. So I just take people at face value. Like, there's certain neighborhoods of Crips that I'll never get along with. Me and my homies it just never will be cool with us, because we done lost too many homies between each other over the years. And but that's a real small, it's only a couple neighborhoods like that. So everybody else, if they ain't in our specific politics, I ain't got nothing to do with it. And I ain't got nothing but respect and love for the real ones on both sides. And as far as the fake ones, I don't want nothing to do with them, and I don't be around them, and I don't co-sign them, and none of that.
Nah, for sure. I'll feel you 100 on that. So when did you start getting into making music?
In the pen. When we was gangbanging and shit as kids, we used to just ride around smoking and freestyling, doing gang freestyles, dissing whoever we was funking with at the time in the whip, or how we was doing it. And then I just got a little knack for it off the head like that. And then when I first went to the pen, my homie was like, they got a studio in there, bro. Like, when you get in there, like, hit the music room. They got a little little music program, and you could go do your little shit in there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I was like, man, that kind of like planted a seed for me. My homie Chip Rue told me, just like, lock in on some music shit. You dope with that shit. So I was like, man, I started thinking about it. And then when I got in there, I started writing. Like, I first started when I was in I always had a penchant for remembering lyrics. So I used to remember old Sibo or Spice One or whatever I was listening to back then. I remembered all the lyrics off my head. So when I first got into I was fighting my case in the juvenile hall, I used to just rap through the door and rap other people's lyrics, and everybody didn't even know who the fuck that shit was. So it was like, everyone thought it was me, and I was like, oh shit, I could really remember every lyric off this shit. Like, let me just start writing my own shit and playing with it. So I started playing with it in jail, and then I had some partners of mine that was in there for pimping and shit, and I used to see how they used to, it was a lot of people that was illiterate in prison. They couldn't read or write, and they was real embarrassed of that shit. Like, so, but they had family on the street, so they wanted to knock this girl and try and get some money on their books or something. So they would pay the pimps and give them, like, here go $10, write me a letter to this girl. Here go $5 in store, write me a letter to my mama or somebody. So, and you write it, and then I'm gonna switch it to my penmanship, and then they're gonna think it was me. So I seen how that was going. That sparked a little idea in me. I was like, look, check this out. Like, give me $20, I'll write you a whole song. I'll go in there, lay it down. You put your vocals behind mine, we erase mine, and it'll sound like your shit. You know what I mean? So that just became my hustle in there.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's how I would get my money in there. Some people was pool sharks. If some people was cheat on the dominoes all day, I was like, man, I was getting in too many fights trying to run them other little plays. So I was like, you know what? Let me try this other way with it, man. So that's how I really got into rapping and realized, man, this could really be a way I could eat and not have to really struggle with wherever I'm at. I could always turn it into some money.
Was there other niggas doing that in there? Or that was
I was the only one, brother. I was the only one. And then there's a couple, like, in the middle of my bed, it became the one that everybody, like, when I was in, like, certain penitentiaries, whenever people come off the chain, the new fish, everybody would run up to him immediately, like, you rap. Like, so if it was someone from another gang or something, we would, like, be like, all right, we're gonna battle. Everyone bet. And then they would line me up against people, and we would just go verse for verse on the yard until somebody declared a winner, and just everyone would put their money down. So I had a couple different ways I was eating off rap way before I even became a rapper.
Yeah.
But
that's hard. What is your process like for selecting beats and working on lyrics for your songs?
I basically look for beats that's a certain. I like vocal stems. Like, I like haunting or like moody music. I like certain beats that just I really just sift through beats. What I like to do is I like to find a producer with a bunch of beats on a page or a bunch of beats. He email me and maybe sift through like 20 of them or so. And if it doesn't grab me in the first 5-10 seconds of me playing the beat, I'm pretty much gonna skip it right there. I'm not even gonna listen to a build or how it go into it, unless it's somebody like, man, you really gotta listen to this. It breaks different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I look, that's the main thing I do is I look for it to grab me in the first 10-15 seconds. And from there, I want the 808s real deep, like the 808 Mafia. And then from there, I'm cool with if it fit that criteria. And then if I could listen to it and play it 15-20 times while I'm writing, and then it doesn't play out to me and get boring, then I'm gonna run with that thing. But if it start to play out, or if any of them things that I named just now ain't grabbing me, like I said, I pretty much am gonna skip through it.
How hard is it for somebody to get some beats to you? Is it hard?
It's not hard. The problem I be having is like a lot of people send me beats and then they want to do their backwards math. Like they be like, "Wax, I'm gonna get you some beats, bro. I got you some beats." It's like they allude to the fact like they just trying to get a placement on my shit. Then they hear a song and be like, "Oh yeah, that'll be $950 or something." Like, bro, stop it, bro. Like I got ways around all that. Like I'm so competent with this music. Like I could do a song with somebody's beat, and then pull up the BPMs to it on the BPM finder, find out exactly what the BPM finder is, then go on BeatStars and find 850 different beats with that same BPM, and then just match one that's in the same chords and keys, and I could switch the beat 15 times if I want for just $100 for the track outs and 300 to save money. And 9 times out of 10, I find beats that complement the song the same way or make it even a better song half of the time. So a lot of the music I do don't even come out with the same beats that I initially recorded with. If I record a beat and then I see somebody else who's on the same beat, or the producer not negotiating right, or I don't like what he's talking about, or he ain't trying to give me an exclusive to it, and I just go around it and find another beat. But if people just genuinely want to work with me and get placements and got a fair number or something like that on their beats, and they know how to, like I look at producers like stock, like, and same with rappers, like all producers stocks go up and down, same with rappers. Like if you just did 2 placements on Drake and a 2 Chainz album or something, by all means your stock went up and you should be charging more. But if you just been doing local shit and with your homies and barely getting a placement here and there, like value your shit at a fair price. Don't value your shit based on what Southside from 808 Mafia is someone charging just because y'all both make beats. Like it's kind of like the Shark Tank, man. If you come in there over evaluating, man, I'm gonna send you on your way, man. I can't do it. But,
that's real shit for sure. How much do you believe that the streets should be involved in music? And when I say that, I mean like basically somebody they brought to my perspective, like they said when you go and meet these people at the record labels, they necessarily don't care how street you are. So like they like the image and they like the persona, but like they don't care, they don't know or if you snitched or if you're not a gangster or nothing. They just like the persona.
Well, you got, from the record label standpoint, they just are looking at it from a dollar sign. Like it used to be after the Tupac Biggie situation, a lot of record labels wasn't fucking with no West Coast artists because they just looked at them as liabilities. Like nobody wants to sink a bunch of money into an artist and then just have them die. You know what I mean? And then because when an artist died, then the catalog go to the next of kin. If you ain't, like Tupac mom assumed rights to his estate and made a lot of headaches for record labels and whatnot. So they didn't want to keep investing in artists that was going to die. And that's why the record labels nowadays, they only want artists that's young as shit. They want artists between 16 and 20 or 22. Like they don't want nobody 25 or 27 or 28 because they're looking at it from a longevity standpoint. How long could we get this money off of this artist? And like another thing, a lot of these artists ain't competent in their deals. They don't know how the game break down. They just know that if they sign this deal, they're gonna be associated with Cash Money or Universal or whatever the hell label they interested in being on at the time. But they're not really understanding the breakdown of it. If an artist were to sign a short-term deal, then and get out of it quick, then they could be their own baby of Cash Money and pulling in their own money. But if you sign a 10 album contract and then the label's only letting you put out one album every 16 or 14 months, then you're gonna be stuck in that deal for a ton of years before you could even get out of it. Plus, you don't actually, if you're just sitting back letting the label do all the work and just cashing the checks, you don't actually understand how the machine works. And if that deal's ever expires, then that just leave you hanging. You don't know how to sustain your own career on your own 2 feet, and you run the risk of just losing it all and being at that label's mercy. So I encourage all the young artists that sign in and with the big labels and unsigned, just ask questions. Like when you doing deals and when labels are doing shit for you, ask questions and try to retain the knowledge. And if it's above your comprehension, and find somebody you trust or someone in your family or your circle and let them ask the questions and learn everything you're doing, so you could never have to worry about being at a label's mercy or act like it's not some big it's not some big magic trick labels do. They ain't doing nothing extra for you. They spending money, they spending other artists' money on marketing and promotion and plays or views or whatever they do, all they little recipes and plugs they had for a long time to get you on the radio and do all these certain things. You can build them relationships yourself. You don't have to just always rely on the label, even if you are on a label.
Nah, for sure. Nah, I completely agree with you. I think that was some good knowledge that the younger artists can for sure pick up on. You gotta know what's going on for sure. You don't want to be just sitting there just being blind to everything that's happening for sure. Because you're right though. If the label lets you go and you don't know nothing, how you gonna keep your career moving?
How I done seen it with a lot of artists. I done seen a lot of real talented artists just stop working because of that, and it's unfortunate to see that. Like, I'm glad. The best thing about my career and how I ran it, I always asked those questions. I was always like a sponge soaking up the knowledge, and every step I made, I always learned something off of it, even if the deal went right or went bad. No matter how it went, I learned something about the business every time. So I was never at someone else's mercy, and I could always run my own shit. Like, and my whole career, I picked little pieces of different people's careers and how they did it to get to my career. Like, I took the independent game when I used to sell CDs. I used to watch Woody and JT, the Bigger Figure, and certain artists and go off of their business monologue. Then when I got around Waka and Gucci and them, I've seen the way Gucci used to drop mixtapes to identify what's the single and the hottest records from his mixtapes, and then compose an album around those songs and then leave the rest on the mixtape. Some songs are just filler songs. They're not really them ones, but when you put an album out, you want the cream of the crop. You want all your best work on that thing. So I took that from Gucci. I just found a lot of different things that I seen other artists doing when I was around them, and that's how I came up with what I do. Like, I seen Burner does with the merchandise and how he does with the Cookies clothing and all that kind of shit. And I linked up with Burner and got all the knowledge I needed off of him. I ain't never even did no music with Burner, but he laced me up on the clothing game so cold. Yeah. I'm like doing my fucking thing with that shit, but it's all those things compiled into one little entity. That's how I've been able to sustain myself and get money and feed my family for all these years.
Nah, for sure. Let's talk about the new music. You just dropped like 3 new songs recently. You dropped Pressure last month. You got Dinner Play and you got Unapologetic. What can we expect? A project coming? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I got a project coming. I basically I'm doing a project called Pulling More Strings, and it's a sequel to the Pulling Strings album. But my fans don't want me rapping with other people on that thing. I've been getting a lot of feedback. They're like, no features, bro. Just do it all to the neck. So I had about 40 songs, and I had about 45 songs that I was sitting on, and half of them had features. So I split them up. I took everything with features and everything that I didn't want on Pulling More Strings, and I did a project called Allegedly, and I threw that together. I just got it mastered, and it's about to get uploaded in a few days, and the release date will get announced. And then I got just all solo songs on Pulling More Strings. I'm about halfway mixed on that. So like the 3 songs you just named is all on they all on Pulling More Strings, and but I've been releasing videos just to keep my name going. Like, my fans, they got a short attention span, and if I don't keep them fed at all times, they gonna start complaining in my comments. Like, man, what's happening, man? So I'm just trying to keep everybody aware and waiting on building anticipation for these new projects I'm about to drop.
Yeah.
And like allegedly, I got CML and Mr. Fab and Bang talk that shit. E-Bang, that's my artist. A couple like EBE Bands, rest in peace. I got a couple songs with him on there that's unreleased, and I've just been trying to get to it, man, as much as I can. But I'm on this ankle monitor shit, so I can't be in the studio mixing like I want to. I got a little makeshift studio at the pad right now, and I'm doing it all from there.
Well, are you mixing everything yourself?
No, I'm on FaceTime while they mix. I got a FaceTime, my battery dying all day, every day, because I'm just basically on the FaceTime while they mix, and just trying to do it like that with a couple different engineers.
What would you say that the mindset was when you were putting these projects together?
Man, I was just recording at the time. I be going through little zones and shit. Like lately, last year or so, when I was recording all these songs, I lost a lot of friends, man. A lot of close friends that died, bands, and my boy Paradise got killed, rest in peace. And a lot of real close people to me I lost. And my right hand man Sko went to jail, and he been in jail for a while on some little bullshit. He about to get out soon. But all of my close circle, it was like falling off. I was losing a lot of people that I got a lot of love for. So it had me in a dark place, like writing and just inspiration-wise. I've been just basically working just to not think about everything I was going through. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I really wasn't putting much thought into it. It was more like me just trying to stay sane through it all and just trying to stay on a good path and be focused more than anything else when I was doing it.
Yeah. What is the process like for you when you putting a project together? You making a whole bunch of songs knowing that you're going in making it, or like, I know you said you want to do one without features, so like, of course you went into that one kind of knowing this is all gonna be me, but like, say normally when you putting a project together, do you make like 50 songs and then go through them, or what would you do?
I do the Gucci. So I basically do, if let's say I want to use, I give myself a number. If I'm going to say I'm going to put 14 songs on the album, then I got to do about 24 songs and then boil it down to what I think is the best 14. And then whatever's left over, that just don't come out. I only want the best music that I can make to come out. I'm never trying to rush and just say, oh, I got to number 14, time to put the album out. I don't do that like that. That's how I used to work when I was young. But I got way better results when I paid attention and I said, all right, if I can make 20, if I want 14, that's my target number that I want for my album. Then I make 24, 25 songs and then cut the 11 I think ain't the right ones. Or they don't, every time I listen to them, it don't grab me like it used to. Then I chop them ones off that thing. So that's like the formula for it.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. You have lost a lot of people to gun violence and other things. Do you suffer from PTSD?
Yeah, but I do, but it only really hits me when I get stagnant or dormant. Like if I'm not working, and some days I'll just get overwhelmed. Like but I'm working so much that I can't really focus on that shit. I got so many things happening all day from the time I wake up to the time I fall asleep that I can't really dwell on that. So like if I get a slow work day, or if I get a new iPhone and I'm updating it, my phone off all day, like sometimes it'll hit me and it'll be like, man, I ain't smoking and I ain't drinking, I ain't got no vices right now, no drugs, nothing, no crutches with it. And so on some days, like I have my good days and my bad days with it, like everybody else, I'm sure, like just depression in general and shit. But for the most part, I pray a lot and I just focus on work so much that I ain't got time to dwell on that shit, bro.
Yeah. Have you ever taken therapy?
Never. I never taken therapy, man. I don't like talking like that to people. Like I said, I barely like doing interviews and shit, bro. Like, I just ain't never been comfortable trying to do no therapy or nothing. When I was in jail, they used to make me take all the, I went and got all the, getting the pill line. I used to have to do the crazy tests and all that shit. And I just went doing all that shit, man.
Nah, I feel you. If you could relive your life and you know, not get into gang banging and all the like politics and shit that came with it, would you do that or nah?
I mean, yeah, half of me would, and half of me is like, you know, it is what it is. Like, I meet people that have great families and tons of money and proper upbringings and shit, and they miserable. They want to kill themselves every day because their parents don't really love them and their parents don't even pay attention to them. It's just like just throwing money and never even, it's like no, and then not only that, I know people with tons of money and so grew up with silver spoons in their mouth and they ain't got no kind of drip or no kind of like sauce to them. Like
Yeah,
they just real stale people.
yeah,
And when I get around those people, I'm like, man, I wouldn't trade me being me for nothing in the world. Like I would never want to be somebody with all kind of money and no style. Don't even know how to dress myself or what to spend my money on, or just be a miserable in my own skin type person. Like
yeah,
I'm proud of who I am and I'm happy to be who I am. I ain't got nothing to be like, oh man, I'm all depressed or nothing like that. Like, life is hard for everybody. Everybody go through their ups and downs and their highs and lows. It ain't just some easy shit. So
yeah,
when I put it all into perspective, I don't want to trade places with nobody, and I wouldn't change nothing going back. Like there's certain decisions I made and whatever that made my life harder when I was young and throughout life, and family decisions, arguing with family and whatnot, and you lose family members while you're in the middle of an argument or something. Like there's tons of that kind of shit that I regret and would love to reverse, but it is what it is. That's if you learn from it, it just make you smarter. It ain't like it wasn't a lesson learned in it.
yeah. Can you tell me about how you and Yukmouth fell out?
Me and Yukmouth fell out. Me and Yuck fell out because I did an album with Gonzo.
Yeah,
And at the time, Gonzo was like, I guess, leaving the regime or something, but him and Yuck were still friends.
yeah,
And I was in Florida with Gonzo, and he showed me a DM he had got from Yuck Mouth, like, don't be around that sucker ass white boy, we gonna smack him or some shit. Like, and I was like, oh, all right. So I seen that message, and it was basically like, you was talking some wild shit.
yeah,
So from my standpoint, that's how it was. Gonzo showed me the DMs, the direct messages from him, from Yukmouth to him, and then from there I went down to a show. I seen Yukmouth had a show in San Diego,
yeah,
so I showed up. I pulled up, and me and a bunch of my homies from Compton in the Bay Area drove down there, like 4 or 5 cars, and some of my San Diego homies, and
yeah,
we just went into a show. And he was pulling up to the show, and I hopped in his limo. I was like, man, what's up, man? Let me get an autograph. Like, bounce out. I like went around the security and went into the limo and was I was like, man, shake my hand. And then he canceled the show and sped off. And my
yeah,
homie like tried to punch the window out and all kind of shit with it and fucked his hand up.
yeah,
That's how it really went in. And then my homies was running with Suge Knight at the time doing security for him. So they had took his jewelry over there at some Safeway in LA. Yuck filed a police report to get his insurance back on the jewelry. So
yeah,
a lot of my homies was looking at it like, man, you the police, bro, for that. Like he
yeah,
went and called the police and was telling them it's Suge Knight and all this shit.
yeah,
That's how we dove into that. That's
yeah,
how I used to do shows with Yukmouth in Seattle and all that shit. And
yeah,
I didn't like the way he operated in general too. Like it was a lot of people I did time with, and they had bought verses from Yuck, and when they went to go to our shows and whatnot, they would be like, "Where Yuck?" And he ain't answering my calls. He being weird. Like he
yeah,
was just a scary kind of dude. And
yeah,
I ain't like that. Like if I know you, I'm gonna tap in. We could politic it face to face. I ain't like ducking nobody out here in the streets.
yeah. And so, and then I had watched one of the other interviews. So basically, you said from Joe Blow started dissing you after the Yuck situation, but you had never really met Joe Blow.
Yeah, I never met him, but that's the situation he started dissing me through. He wasn't really even hooked up with the Jack, and then I think he was like in the regime somehow. He said he was his cousin or related to Yukmouth somehow. So I
Yeah,
don't know the actual family relation or nothing. I really didn't know who Joe Blow was and nothing about him. I just seen he was doing diss records about me, and they was like all clicked up with each other. Like it used to be a big blackball. Like everybody was just hating on me from a certain circle and anyone affiliated with him for a long time.
yeah.
So that's how I got familiar with Joe Blow, with him just doing diss records about me.
Can you talk about the YouTube video? I seen the YouTube video randomly one day. So like when you seen him that day, what he just wasn't trying to like he. I mean, from when I watched the video, I was like, damn, like I thought y'all at least win ones or something, but it seemed like because you seemed like you was by yourself. You was by yourself, like he was with his boy. Like what was that?
No, I went. We was going to the same smoke shop. I was going to get backwoods, and I had seen him pulling in, and it was a girl with me, and one of my boys was with me, but the girl stayed in the car, and then me and my boy walked in the store, and then when I walked in the store, it was like a little ass smoke shop, and I ain't never seen dude or nothing. He just did hella diss records and was like, what he gonna do? On God, he gonna shoot me and stab me and do all these things when he see me in these songs. So I was just like, man, let me just check his temperature and see what he on, bro. Like, so when I came into the smoke shop, I was really just going to get some backwoods, and in this little smoke shop, it's only one person working behind the counter. It's not like a big ass store. So where the register is when you walk in to the right, and then all the way down in the glass case, it's like knives and little like P-test shit and regular smoke shop shit. So I'm in there trying to get the backwoods, and little bruh just way down at the other counter. I guess he had seen me coming and was spooked. So he had the worker way down at the other end, like, and when I came in the store, he was like fake looking at knives, like he was trying to buy a knife or something, you know? So I was like, man, I sat there for like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and I was just like, let me see what he up to, man. Let me see what he on real quick, you know what I mean? And he was just head down looking at the knife, like fake talking with dude, and like trying to peek out the corner of his eye. And then finally I just got like tired of it. I was like, bro, what's up, man? You don't see me standing here, you don't know who I am? Like, why you acting like you don't see me over there? You know what I mean? And he was like, oh man, I ain't even tripping off that. But he was like doing the sheepish, like look down at the flow and like won't look me in the eyes. It won't even turn his body towards me, like speaking without even looking at me when he addressed me. So I was like, man, I had told my boy that was with me, I was like, man, he got that knife in his hand. Like, bro, go stand on the other side of him. You know what I mean? So my boy went right next to him on his, like shoulder to shoulder, and we approached him. Like, I was like, man, if he moved that knife anyway, grab that thing. You know what I mean? Like my boy was bigger than him. So I was like, I kind of had him in a position in the stove, and I was finally like, man, what's up with that shit you was talking on? You know what I mean? And then he was like, oh, bro, I don't want no problems. That was just for clout, Yukmouth, my family, and this and that. And I was coming off all these situations where everyone in the Bay looking at me like I'm some kind of bully. I'm just always looking for problems with people. So I was like, man, I don't even really want to do nothing to do. He over here explaining himself for a whole 5 minutes on just face to face. And I was like, but I also know the way the internet works. So I told in my head, I was like, man, if I don't record this right now with him saying this shit, then everybody gonna say it's a total different story. I was scared of him. He gonna go on Instagram and say how I ran for him or something. I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm finna record this shit. I ain't got little buddy was just rapping and tried to diss me for clout. Let me get him saying that on the camera and see what he talking about. And from then no one could talk about me and his situation no more and try and be on that shit. So that's how that unfolded really. And then even in the situation, like after the situation, when I put the little footage out there, it was like, oh, you recording in the middle of funk. He went and got a pole. Like, bruh, I shut the camera off. I thought he was going to get something out the car. So I shut the camera off and I walked right up to his window, and he went in the center console and pulled out a pink brush. It's like daughter brush. And he had it like trying to bluff it like it was a stick or a pole or something, bruh. So I seen that, and then I started laughing, and he sped off. But the way he spun the story and told it to everybody else, like he had all kind of Mozzie and different people talking greasy, like, oh, who record when someone pull a bang on him? Like, bro, he ain't pulled nothing on me. He wouldn't even have bought the knife if he had something in the car, bro. Like, motherfuckers just see from the angle they want to see it always. They always gonna do that kind of shit.
I was gonna. You said he dissed you twice, and you said you waited before you like came back. Did you what you dropped the official diss track to him, or what was the diss track that you dropped to him, and why did you wait to drop it?
I waited because it was boring to me, like honestly, like the way he raps like puts me to sleep kind of. It's like I wasn't the shit he was saying. It was like you ain't saying nothing, bro. Like he did it. One of his diss songs, he said what he was gonna do to me when he seen me. Then he seen me and didn't do nothing. And then the other diss song he did was saying he was calling me saying I'm a snitch because I recorded him on the phone and he went and grabbed a gun. Like, bro, you lying in both songs. Like, what's there to respond to? Like, normally when I engage in going back and forth or speaking on the situation in the song, it's like, man, like have something to it if you're gonna say something. Like, let me be feeling a certain way. I'm like, I'm not even feeling a certain way about dude. I just feel like he just want clout and was just trying to get up. And then when he got some clout, he was still trying to keep it going or reinvigorate it or get it going somehow, add fuel the flames. So I don't know. And then when I got that chain, I ended up with his chain on my neck one day, and then I was like, you know what, like you see the same people going up, coming down. Like, man, it's time to repay the favor. Like, you've been trying to get clout all this time. Like, let me show you how it's the right way it's supposed to be done. You know what I mean?
So with the chain situation, do you still have it, or you gave it back, or what?
I got it, but it's tucked up. Like, I got it over there. I got a little stash of jewelry tucked up. I just don't wear it no more. We just be clowning around with it, ashing on it and doing little shit. I threw it in a couple videos, and I got a bunch of offers for it to sell it. But I just got it with the old jewelry collection. Like, I got a bunch of old jewelry I don't wear no more, different chains and shit, and I just threw it up in the tuck right now. So it's not something I want to wear. It's a bung ass chain, and but it was real diamonds and shit and real gold. He wasn't wearing no fake shit. A lot of people be wearing fake shit.
For sure. What is your relationship with Philthy Rich?
Me and Philthy, we don't really have a relationship. It's not like a good or a bad relationship. We used to do music together and fuck with each other coming up in the Bay, and we came up around the same time and era. So we used to do music together and whatnot. And when I was running with Brick Squad, he got a feature in a song with Waka, and just how it unfolded. Like when they did the video. Yeah, I set it up for him. Like we was all at a Kafani shoot. Kafani had paid Waka to come to a video shoot, and Waka was charging. Waka doesn't do his business himself. If you want a verse from Waka or something, you can't just walk up to Waka and be like, "How much you charge for a verse, bro? Let me get a video." Like, his brother Quam and different people handle that kind of shit. So Waka told Philthy holler at Quam and them, and Philthy was long story short, he got quoted too much, and he wanted me to explain to Waka who, like, do a favor for him. He like fuck with me kind of and all that kind of shit. So it was like a situation like that. So basically through doing that and hooking the shit up for Philthy, like, I didn't like how the situation ended up, and when the video came out for the song and whatnot, like, felt like Philthy wasn't trying to give me credit for how I hooked it up. In his eyes, he looked at like, well, I could just did that for him or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
but you really threw like the alley-oop for that though.
Yeah, I threw the alley-oop. Like, Waka ain't, that's like, but I don't know if Philthy understood at the time. Like, me and Waka both from Elm Street, Piru. I've been from Elm Street since I was a fucking teenager. Waka been from a lot younger than me, but he been from Elm Street for a long time. So me and Waka from the exact same hood. That's like me working with somebody from Sam City or something and being like, that ain't got nothing to do with Philthy, and he was involved in it. Like, I don't know if Philthy got that through the scenario. So at the time, I was like, man, it feel kind of funny. And I had that I had so many people hating on me back then. I wasn't sure if Philthy just didn't want to be seen with me because I was so controversial at the time, or what it was. But I was in a video with him and Waka when he shot their video in the Rich. And it like every time where I was in a part of the video, like a little bar came up on the side, it edited me out and came on the side where I was standing. So I was kind of feeling a certain way about that for a long time. But me and Philthy did songs. He was on my albums, and we used to kick it and chop it up at my little warehouse and that I used to have out in the Bay and shit, where I had my studio set up. And he always been cool, but I know I was probably just too much in my feelings and my pride and shit, and looking at it like putting too much on it. Like, I didn't realize like how busy Philthy is and how much he got going on in his own situation. I used to always look at everything one-sided before I really got a chance to put a broader mind to everything.
And how are you able to develop that broader outlook on everything?
you know, just time. You mature with time in different scenarios and different situations, let you find new appreciations and different ways to look at situations. Like,
yeah,
really, when he linked up with Lav, when he wasn't linked up with Lav, I kind of looked at it like the same, like the One Mob situation. Like, you on that first One Mob album, it's like 4 or 5 people all done dissed me all on one album together. To me,
yeah,
it just felt like coming out of being blackballed at the time, it felt like they all just clicking up on some fuck me type shit, and
yeah,
anyone that is affiliated with me. So
yeah,
I always looked at it like me or Lav or anybody that I'm do music with and I'm affiliated with, they try and keep us, our talent, from being unheard through their networks as much as possible and trying to keep us from eating. So
yeah,
I was definitely just trying to stay on the same page and same accord. Anyone
yeah,
that's trying to keep food off my family plate, to me, that's just someone that I'm not rocking with. You know what I mean? So when him and Lav situation, when they found a way through that situation and got they shit, they disagreements situated, like, it just made me look at things differently. Like, instead of looking at things in just a rap standpoint, like, man, a lot of bad could have came out of them two funking in their
yeah.
situation.
I think it was better for the streets for them to squash the beef. You feel me? For
Yeah,
sure.
me too. I feel the same way. Like, man, at the end of the day, we should all be every musician out here and everywhere. They should be able to do their music and get their money and feed their family. And it shouldn't lead to people in the streets that we love and people in our crews all getting hurt and whatnot, and going to jail and all that shit. Like, I just would prefer to see it the other way. Like, let
Yeah,
people get out of the streets. Let people without no routes, or people that youngsters that grow up thinking they got to sell dope or rob or do something. I
yeah,
think if we show them another way through music, we can plant a seed and they grow and they find something. Some of them will be producers in a few years. Some might be artists. Some might be A&Rs, management, or tour managers or whatever. Like, show them another way and teach them how to fish. Don't just give them fish. You give them the poles and show them how to fish their way out that thing. I
yeah,
seen Philthy doing that with his hood and how he elevated his hood and how much. That's another reason I respect Philthy. Like, he really give opportunities to his homies. Can't nobody deny that. Fuck
yeah,
how I feel or anyone else feel.
yeah,
Bruh solid in his hood and how he doing it. And
yeah,
like, it's hard. It's easier said than done to do that, bro.
yeah,
Sometimes it's like good intentions and that shit go bad real for a lot of artists trying to do that shit. So it's a tightrope act, walking that fine line and a balancing act trying to do that shit. So
yeah,
I appreciate that, and Lav too. Like, Lav do the same shit with his homies. He take care of a lot of his homies and try and show them a better way. And
yeah,
I just respect that kind of shit in general. So
yeah,
that's what kind of helped me see everything from another light too. Like, look, man, don't look at it from a standpoint of how do I feel as AWACS. Look at it as a standpoint. Look at what they doing as far as the good they putting out there in just the world and in their hoods. Like, they really giving people hope that they ain't had no hope.
yeah,
And that's where I see it. And that's how I really came to my conclusion where I'm at.
yeah. What is your relationship with CML, Lavish D?
That's he like family to me, man. Like, he always kept it solid with me from the day I met him. I met him just on a fluke out in Sacramento a while back.
Yeah,
Ever since then, we just always been tapped in. When he was in jail, we kept in contact. I've been doing music with like Thola and pulling up on licks, free licks, and all them. And I just tapped in with his homies. When he was in jail, I used to try and send him money. Like, Lav, you need anything like that? And he
yeah,
would always never accept my money. He would just be like, nah, bro, I got everything I need. Only thing I need from you, Wax, just try and pull up on Dre or pull up on my partners in SAC and try and get him to rap. See if you could do a
yeah,
song with him and see if you could get him to show him something different. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I was like, man, hell, say less. So I pull up and tap in with his homies, and that's how me and him really got connected. So
yeah,
we stayed in contact the whole time he was down and would do songs. He was recording like a motherfucker while he was in jail. So we was doing songs through the phones and shit while he was in jail. And then when he got out, we just tapped in. I pulled up and he get in my videos. I get in his videos. We do
yeah,
songs, chop it up in the studio. He just been like, I ain't really seen eye to eye or just been, it ain't been an easy relationship. A lot of artists I meet them, it's like a forced relationship or it's like standoffish and nothing.
yeah.
I ain't never been with that with Lav. Like, me and him, I always just got along from day one, and it's just been what it is. And
Which is smooth.
that's,
I
yeah,
think that's real key that you said that though, because even with me, because I interview so many artists, people always think like we're just gonna be best friends after. I told niggas, if you want to do interviews, don't go into it thinking you're gonna be a best friend with this with the rapper, because at the end of the day, that's not what you're there for. If it happens naturally, you feel me, that's a good, but like it's not gonna always be that way, you know? Like you gotta
Yeah.
let it happen naturally for sure.
Yeah, you gotta just let it happen, and sometimes, and that should take time too. It don't just happen overnight. Like
For
me and
sure.
Mav been tapped in for some years together, just back and forth, just keeping in. And it take two. Sometimes I don't call him for a month or two, and he call me. Sometimes we just be so busy, like he. But if I don't call for too long, he call me. If he don't call me for too long, I call him. That's how it stay together like that. And it's not just a one-way street. You know what I mean?
Nah, I just think it's important that we do speak on that, because I feel like people that's not like tapped in like that, they're looking from the outside looking in. They don't realize how much time those bonds actually take to form. Like I can go outside and somebody can know me for interview or whatever, and
Yeah.
I don't know you, nigga. I'm not about to be your best friend right now.
Yeah, I don't know who you is, man.
Yeah,
I don't
like
know what you want.
we're gonna have to break down some barriers and build up. Like you know, like we're not gonna be best friends overnight. Like it's just not gonna
Nah.
happen.
Yeah, that's that fake shit when you just have to pretend. That's why I ain't never been good at that, and I just take shit one step at a time. And it just every artist and every producer, they do their shit different. Everybody look at rap different and do it different and got different perspectives. And a lot of them I just don't see eye to eye with, just on their business too. So, but I keep that to myself. Like if I meet an artist and I just don't like how they getting down and they trying to do too much around me or something, like man, I ain't gonna keep them away from me. You know what I mean? Like I tell my people, like don't bring them around me type shit. Like, but I ain't gonna try and broadcast it or get in the DMs and go back and forth and turn it to some diss records or something. Like, man, it's not even worth all that. Like, just put that shit away.
Do you feel like your beef with Husalah kind of was the start to you becoming to be feeling like you was blackballed in the Bay?
I just feel like the timing of it was the blackball in the Bay. I feel like my beef with Dude happened right when Mac Dre died. Rest in peace, Mac Dre. Like so, nobody nobody realized. Like I used to go to the studio with Mac Dre and do songs on Baby Bash albums and kick it in the studio. Knew him from different scenarios and situations. Like nobody realized that because I wasn't on his albums. Like to be honest, like I was a fan of I was a huge fan of Mac Dre's music from back in the day and all his first albums up until like when Stupid Doodle Dumb and shit came out. I wasn't feeling that shit as much as I was feeling like the Rapper Gone Bad. Like Rapper Gone Bad was probably my favorite album from Mac Dre, one of them though. But at the time, I loved a certain style of Mac Dre, and when he started doing more of the party kind of music and shit, I just personally, it wasn't my vibe. So I always wanted to work with Dre, but I didn't want to work with him on that kind of music, and I didn't want to like insult him, being like, yo, I like older music. Let's do some of your gangster rob a bank type music. You know what I mean? Like I respected his growth in the music, but I actually did know him. We smoked backwards. He the one got me on backwards and the whole shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't publicized and shit. So like wasn't no light on that kind of on all that side of it. And then other dude, he was like on the last mixtape cover with Dre before he died. So everyone just assumed like, yo, he gotta be all right if Dre was around. I'm like, man, that shit all happened at the same time. Dre wasn't aware of that shit, bro. You can't just say what Dre would have did when Dre ain't around. You know what I mean?
Nah, for sure.
Yeah. Like rest in peace to Legend, but I feel like the blackball wasn't so much as him as the fact that he was in a picture with Dre or on a couple songs with Dre. Like Dre's legacy and Dre's impact and his influence out here, that's what mattered and where it was all at. It wasn't never about that.
Did you have a relationship with the Jacker? I'm sure you did.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
Can you speak on that, please?
Jacker, his uncle that raised him, it got a baby with my sister. And I got my nephew that looked like he related to me and Jackie. And it's just like funny to see him growing up. And that's just one angle of it. And then me and Jackie just had our own relationship. We went to the Super Bowl and was fucking around in San Diego together, and just when I first got him in the studio to get on my album, mind you, I used to listen to that shit when I was in prison. Music by mail, I would order their music, and anyone that was from Pittsburgh, I ordered their music, and I was just a fan of local shit. Like, I was proud of my hometown, so I used to listen to all that shit. And then when I got out, I wanted to do an album with everybody that was from my side, my section, that was putting on for the P.
Yeah.
So when I got Jackie in the studio the first time, like when the session was over, I had some people that was putting money behind my project, and I pulled them outside after we was done with the song. I came up to him and was like, man, let me give you this money. It was probably like $300-400 or something light. I was like, bro, here, this for that verse. And he was like, no, I can't charge you for that, bro. Like, I fuck with you. I want to see you come up. And I was just like, coming from prison, being in prison for so long, and you can't even get a cigarette or a cup of coffee for free in that motherfucker. Everything got a string attached. Yeah. So how bro treated me, so like, so like genuine, like he wanted to see me come up. It just, he like always had a soft spot in my heart for him, like because of how he always interacted with me face to face. So we would go eat at IHOP at 4 a.m, drunk, and do all kind of shit, pull up on each other, grab weed, and we had some, I grabbed, vice versa. We always had a good relationship, and that's how I did so many songs with him early on in my career. We did a bunch of songs, and I would be on his album. I go to his studio, he come to my studio sessions, and we sit in. And it was just like how me and Lab was just effortless. It was the same thing with me and Jack. It was real effortless, man. He was a real good dude, and I just got along with him off the top. Yeah. So even when I was going through it with other dudes, like me and Jack used to talk on the phone a lot. He used to call me a lot and be like, Wax, man, it's got to be a way we can fix this. You too dope, man. I just, you got me in a real tricky situation with all this shit. And I got it, but at the time, I was just more concerned with the streets. Like, all I knew was what's right and wrong about in the street side of things. I felt like rap had to follow suit, like, you know what I mean? Like, but I wasn't just looking at it like being like egotistical either. I was like, man, much as I was young, I was aware of the fact that all the youth that was under us and the people younger than us was going to be influenced by the decisions we made going forward. And I also was aware of the fact that when I was young, like when I dove into gang banging and all my knucklehead shit when I was young and selling dope, I was listening to rap music, and I was impressionable enough to think that everybody rapping about this shit is like doing this shit. Like, if you rapping about gang banging and selling dope or something, you must really be doing that shit, or else somebody on your side gonna expose you, and you finna go out like Milli Vanilli or somebody. They gonna take your awards, and everybody gonna expose you. So I was just naive when I was a kid to think that everybody rapping was really about that shit. I wasn't. I had no idea that it was people lying on it.
Not true at all.
Not true at all. So all them things like had factored into me doing diss records and saying, when I said like Jack could choose a side on some street shit or your rap shit, like in the records I said when I was doing it, like I ain't never diss him in no records, but I said things that like straight out put friction on our relationship, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, why did you think it was important for the youth to know that, or to not be inspired by the streets and dope dealing?
I mean, I felt like that was a big reason I landed myself in prison, like, and started thinking the ways I started thinking when I was a kid, and the mindset I adapted and adopted to myself. Like, I felt like that impacted my life so much, being so impressionable and taking lyrics that people said in songs literally, and not looking at it from a different standpoint or a different point of view. Right. So I felt like when I did music, like I always felt like, look, like I can't force feed nobody to believe in God or to not be in the streets enough and to be like, yo, do this, do that. Like, you can't just tell people what to do. But I was like, if I could describe my story and my trials and tribulations and weave a little bit of that in there, then I could probably impact people. If I tell my story and say, look, yeah, I went to jail, but don't try and make it sound like it's cool. Like, sound like, yo, like it was fucking miserable watching the guard go by and give everyone letters, and then he walked by my cell with nothing for me. It was miserable watching people go to store calling, dragging big Santa Claus bags back to their cell full of ramens, and I ain't got $2 on my books enough to buy a new stick of deodorant. I'm over here shaving the last little piece off my bar. Like I wanted to describe them intricacies and them small little details, like about doing time or about going through the streets and the struggles to try and, like, a scared straight approach. Like, man, maybe these kids ain't thinking about this side of it. So I wanted to be more detailed and in depth with my lyrics always because of that. And I thought that may sway somebody into being their own self instead of just thinking, man, oh, it's just cool to go to jail. It's just part of becoming a rapper or something. Like, nah, that's not cool. Ain't nothing cool about showering with 50 men in this fucking big ass shower stall and shit, bro. Like shitting on a toilet with community toilets with 15 toilets next to you. Come and take a piss, you gotta smell shit from all kind of people. That shit ain't fly, bro.
Yeah.
Like, so I figured if I would just try and describe it in that kind of a light, if a young kid listening to my music, he may be like, shit, he right, man. It's something I don't really look forward to doing, man. I'm trying to be around some bitches and some fly shit and some freedom and some money. Like,
now I feel like I appreciate you more for taking that approach, because I do feel like I don't feel that people should kind of glorify going to jail, and I like at the same I've been even kind of feeling like I'm not even cool with glorifying. I mean, black on black violence is a thing, but I don't feel like we should be glorifying it like that, because I'm like, we already tripping off the white people killing us, so I feel like why make it, you know, a bad when they do it, but it's cool when we kill each other. At the end of the day, we should be holding ourselves accountable, because as black men, we need to be here. So I'm like, that's been my thoughts on that. But I know it'd be politics and shit going on, and like,
well, it's not. It's politics. Most of the politics is hatred. When you lose people certain people that you love, like, it's like if somebody do something to someone in your family or something, you know what I mean? Like, don't matter who it is, like, you gonna just hate them people in general, bro. It's not like if someone from another gang or another side of town, or if a police officer kill your family, if you George Floyd family or his daughter, it's understandable that she gonna grow up hating police and harbor that hatred in her heart, you know what I mean? And she not gonna feel bad probably when she sees something happen to a cop. You know what I mean? If something hypothetically happens, she gonna be like, man, they did my daddy like that. I seen this since I was a baby. The whole world, like, it's natural to harbor that hatred and that resentment. It's hard to overcome that hatred and resentment, especially if you've been going at it with a certain group of people or a certain gang for a long time, and you just lose multiple homies. Like, you're gonna always harbor that, and you're gonna always want to keep their memories alive. And you got to remember, like, history is history. It's his story. Somebody telling their side. If you got an enemy group or someone you don't get along with, and they rapping about it, telling their side of the story and making it look like this and speaking on your dead homies or some shit, like, man, you gotta speak back and let it know, like, nah, bro, like, I'm gonna tell the other side of the story and tell it this way. Like, fuck, you ain't writing the history. You see what I'm saying? So that perpetuates it and it magnifies it. It just makes it worse, and it's like a never-ending cycle because of that. Ain't nobody never not gonna want to represent their dead homies, bro, and ain't nobody gonna get on there and talk about, yo, such and such did this and such, so we doing this, or we saying this, or we on it. Like, they gonna keep that to themselves, bro. Everybody know how this shit is set up. So I get what you're saying. Like, it ain't cool to glamorize or glorify, but it also ain't cool to let somebody else tell their side of the story and just make it seem like people that's dead and gone is somebody that wasn't, or a situation, something it ain't. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree with that for sure too, though.
Yeah, if you watch the news, Fox tell one story, CNN tell another, bro. You gotta like decide from both and meet in the middle, make your own opinions if you want to be unbiased and fair, or else if you subscribe to one party or the other, then you gotta line yourself accordingly if you listen to the music you want to listen to.
Yeah, I think what you said is super important, because that's something that I go through with being an interviewer, because people feel like, oh, you interviewed this side, you shouldn't interview that side. My opinion is, I'm gonna interview everybody. I'm my own person. I'm not involved in anything, but at the end of the day, everybody has their story to tell.
Yeah, and if you really ain't in it, you should have no problem interviewing both sides.
Exactly.
But if you really picking favoritism or picking a side, then by all means, you know what I mean?
That's the thing about being an interviewer, though. You can't pick no sides. You just kind of you gotta be in the middle. Like, I know people it's like, you, especially with me. I'm like, I grew up in Richmond, but like, I was a football player. Like, I wasn't I
Yeah,
spent most of my time playing sports. I wasn't in the streets like that, so I don't go around acting like I was a street dude. But at the same time, I don't come from a good area. Like I know street niggas was really in the streets, but like we still cut from the same cloth. We just was doing different shit with our time. You feel me?
yeah, for sure. But you've seen all the bullshit. You've
Exactly.
been exposed to it, and you smart enough to see exactly like, man, it's a real struggle out in them streets, man. It's really hard for these kids that ain't got no proper parenting and no money, and no ways to eat, and no father figures or whatever the fuck. Like, it's not easy to find your way out here, especially when you come from lower income areas and from the hood and different areas in the Bay Area. It's really rough, man.
Nah, for sure. Are you signed right now? You independent? What's going on?
I'm signing myself. I go through Empire, and I got Ghazi and them. I've been over there with Empire for some years, and things just been going real good for me over there. So
Yeah.
I've been there basically since Empire opened. I was with Ghazi at TuneCore, or not Tune. What was it? Whatever Ghazi was before that. I've been following Ghazi around for some years as far as letting my music come out, and he been doing real fair business with me and treat me good. So I'm
Yeah.
not looking. I'm in a good situation with my own label and paying taxes, and I'm a tax-paying citizen out here. Been one for some years, man. So I'm just chilling, bro. I ain't gonna
Yeah.
lie.
How much support should say an artist expect from their friends? Do you expect? I mean, you big now and people know you, but like when you started, did you expect your friends to promote your shit and go hard for your shit, or how would you feel if they didn't do that?
I used to be mad as shit, bro. I fell out with people over that shit. Like, man, what
Yeah,
the fuck wrong with you, man? Like,
yeah,
why would you not do that? But I'm also from a big hood, and it's a lot of rappers from my hood. So I get you can't just focus on everybody. You can't try and support everybody's shit. But I always been a big advocate for, man, everybody should try and help everybody, and that's how we'll get somewhere as a collective. Like,
yeah,
the more, even if we don't see eye to eye, face to face, we should never show the public that, and we should always make it appear like we together, even if we arguing about something behind the scenes. Like, don't let that spill over to the other side. I
yeah,
always try to encourage that with my homies, and I always wanted that for all my homies too, to just keep that shit together, man, like type shit. I think we go farther. I don't think the fans like seeing that kind of shit, like
yeah,
seeing such and such fell out with such and such. Like, the ones that do is like, I don't know, like, again, it's also like football. Like, I love the sport of football, but I'm a Raider fan and I'm not feeling the Niners. But they're AFC, NFC. So if the Niners is playing the Cowboys, I don't too much give a fuck
yeah.
if the Cowboys get scraped. But if the Raiders is playing the Niners in the preseason, man, I'm on some fuck
Me
the
too.
Niners shit.
I'm the same way.
Like, so I look at like music and the fans. I think they look at musicians in the same light. Like, they always want to be like, yo, this is my team. I don't rock that jersey. Like, and that's how I look at everything in that kind of light.
Yeah, nah, for sure. What is a perfect day for you?
Perfect day for me is, man, right now, shit, I just wake up and I drink some coffee. I fucking check my messages for traps. I read some Bible. I read 3, 4, 5 pages of my Bible and shit, and just to have a good start to my day and clear my head. And
Yeah,
then I get to work, man. I do clothing designs. If
yeah,
I got some features today, like for example, I had to write a couple feature verses, and then when a little later today, I'll record those and email those off, and then go over these rest of these designs for next week's drop and then next week's drop. So for the next 2 weeks, I got to figure out what I'm gonna be releasing through merchandising, and then I'm finalizing my masters. So I got to put some headphones on and go over each mix before I upload to Empire,
yeah,
and then it's just a full work day, man. That's a perfect day for me, and I really be fulfilled and happy just doing that kind of shit. I don't need to be doing nothing else, and I'm kind of just chilling. For me, a perfect day. I made I think I made 9,870 in a day, like 2 days ago, off just t-shirts alone. So
that's crazy. So,
yeah, so that's a good day, bro. But the next day I made like, I hit for like 2 bands or something the next day on the merchandise, and I was like, man, it felt like a slow day to me. I was kind of drugged down. Like,
yeah.
man, when I be doing them $10,000 days, it be having me like I'm feeling like a special kind of high. Then go to 2,000, I'm like, man, I'm a failure today, man. I fucked up, man. I need some more money. I gotta run this up.
Yeah.
So the money really, it's like I'm getting high off of getting this money these days, man. I don't even need no drugs and no
And
weed.
making money is a great feeling for sure.
For sure that, man. I encourage everybody out there, man. Get some money and watch how that shit make you feel.
Do you have a favorite food?
Favorite food, Mexican food, man. I used to be, I was getting sick for a long time and getting misdiagnosed by doctors and shit. And it turns out I'm allergic to gluten. And
Really?
that shit's in everything. But Mexican food is a lot of corn-based food and it's not gluten in it. So I've adjusted my diet and I ain't been sick in almost 5 months now at all. And like the gluten would give me hives, little itchy ass, little red marks on my skin and shit if I ate it. And I just had no idea where it was coming from for a long time. So I finally eliminated that from my diet completely, and now I'm just in love with Mexican food. That's all I got another Mexican dish on my plate. And that is sandwiches. I eat cold cut sandwiches and Mexican food. That's about all, brother.
Yeah. I like to ask this question to everyone I do an interview with. If you could pick yourself to be any animal in the world, what would it be and why?
Any animal in the world, what would it be and why? Shit, man. I want to be something like an eagle, man, so I could just fly around and see things different, man. Like not have to worry about nothing on the ground unless I'm eating it. You know, like that'd be dope to just be soaring. I'd be seeing them things just be in the air, like floating up there. I think it would be dope to be like an eagle or a falcon or something like that. That shit hard.
Yeah.
Something that flies.
I like that. But what advice can you give to independent artists?
Advice to independent artists, man, learn, bro. Learn as you go and stick with it. It's hard coming out. I know it's great to be on a big platform or be on World Star or Thizzler or something, and your views, you just came out and your views is looking beefy, but start your own channel, bro. If you get to that 1,000 subscribers and if you could bear with the small amount of views coming up and just keep building it till it gets there, you're going to really have a lot more in the end if you do it that route. Like if you keep putting your music out through other platforms. I used to put a lot of music out on World Star Hip Hop. And when I did that, I put my videos up there. I was just oblivious to the fact that YouTube is a revenue source for me. Like I'll be making 50, 60 bands a year on just YouTube ads running on the front of my videos now and subscribers to my channel because I really bit down and I cultivated my channel, and it was hard when I first started. I didn't get much views, and I had songs with French Montana and all kind of different people on my page, and I was like, man, this shit ain't getting no fucking views, man. Like, what the fuck's happening? But it slowly but surely, I got to the 1,000 subscribers, and I got to the 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 subscribers. And the more you build it, the more it's like tiers to how much you get paid and how much they let you do and how much movement you got and how much you could talk to support at YouTube. So don't sleep on that kind of shit. Don't just look at making music as streams and album sales on iTunes. There's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot of ad revenue behind it, and don't let these other platforms get your ad revenue. Get it yourself. Build your own shit and bite down in the beginning and put the work in. Don't just expect nothing overnight, and you'll get there.
Yeah, nah, I rock with that heavy. What is something that most people don't know about you?
Most people don't know about me, man. I play Fortnite.
That's crazy.
I play Fortnite. Whenever I be working too long, and I just get a little frustrated, I'll be like, I need to reset, and I go play like 2 games of Fortnite, jump down off the thing, and get on there and parachute out of there, drop a fucking launch pad, and get up out of there.
That's raw. That's raw. I like that a lot. You've been making music for a long time. What do you think has changed the most in your music over the years?
The length of the music. We used to make music songs which used to be 5 minutes long and 3 verses. And man, it used to be hell writing a song. It'd be so long, it's like writing half an album for one song. Now the attention span on these kids, half of these kids now make like Rod Wave do a verse on a hook and it's done. Like, get out of here. Like, like that. The attention, people is just the length of the song and how many bars you got to put into making a song now has changed completely. That's the biggest thing to me. Like other than that, it's as far as the content, it sounds like it's just that they rapping about the same shit differently. That's all.
For sure. What is the biggest lesson you've learned in the industry?
Biggest lesson I learned in the industry, like don't ever, like I should have never waited for or been listening to what someone else said, waiting for someone to do something for me. Do it for yourself, always.
Yeah.
Like if you do it for yourself, the better results you get. If you wait on someone else, you're always at their mercy of their time and their schedule. And if they get sidetracked or something, then you don't want to suffer in that situation. Like, I learned that if I just grab the bull by the horn, so to speak, and make shit happen for myself, I always got the best results.
Yeah.
But I always, it took a long time to just let that happen and not be waiting for a deal from somebody or waiting on something to happen or something contingent upon something else for me to do what I got to do. I just got to set goals and accomplish some goals. Tell myself I want 2 albums or 3 albums out this year and 15 videos and make them happen. Pay for them out of my own pocket.
Yeah.
Figure a way to get it done without no help. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And invest in yourself. Like, invest in yourself is the best way to do it. Don't look for other people to invest in you.
Yeah. No, for sure. And for my final question, just what advice could you give to a young artist who's just trying to get into making music from the start?
From the start, like, perfect your craft, first of all. Like, if you're gonna rap, make sure you stand out somehow. Like, you gotta just look at things from an outside perspective. Don't just look at it like, oh, me and my homie say I'm dope. Like, that's not the way to get it. Look at it like, how am I separated? There's a million new artists trying to come out right now. How could you separate yourself from how they coming out? How could you make yourself look different or make people, if you can make yourself look different or do something different about the way you're doing it, maybe it's the way you dress, maybe it's the way you style it, maybe it's the way you shoot your videos or the way you word things or the beats you pick. If you could do it in a different way and not be cookie cutter and sound like everybody else, you can stand out. That's probably the best way to stand out fast if you're a new artist, in my opinion.
On top. Now, AWAX, I appreciate you. Do you have any final words that you want to tell to the people before you get out of here?
Man, at PyrexClothing.com, check that thing out, man. I got the Pulling More Strings, watch out for that, and the Allegedly album coming out soon, man. That's about it, bro. I appreciate you. I appreciate your platform and your time, man.
No, I appreciate you, man. I don't know how long it is, but it for sure was a good amount of time. But I appreciate you for sitting here with me and chopping it up for sure.
It's good, brother. I gotta charge this phone for this thing for this thing die down.
You're locked in with the Innovators. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell.